talk at once. If you have something to say, just put something in the chat box and we'll kind of call on you like we did when we were in first grade. And then you can unmute yourself and we'll go one at a time afterwards. And I'll go ahead and start. For us, we tried this not touching footballs thing, and it was awkward. Didn't cause us any issues in the game, but I felt like our crew was a little bit less engaged than they would normally be. I can't say that that's the reason. Might have had something to do with a 44-0 halftime score. But we're going to go back and touch footballs again next week. We happen to have the visitors are going to be our same home team next week. So when I sent the athletic director an email this morning letting him know that we were going to be touching footballs, he was very excited. To say that he hates the idea might be strong, or the idea of officials not touching footballs might be strong, but he was very happy to hear that we're going to be, darn it, we're going to be touching footballs. Hold on, I got to send Workman a link. Yep, cancel. All right, guys, let me get him in here.
Bob, can you hear me?
Jack.
I can tell you for our two games, the non-touching went very well. We had really good ball boys, like two on every team, handling the one getting the ball, one bringing the other one in. I thought it worked pretty well. Riggs, you were coordinate on all that stuff. Do you agree with that? Hello, Riggs. Are you there?
You got to unmute yourself to speak up.
Unmute. Jim?
Let me.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it worked well. It took a little, obviously, getting used to, but I think the players themselves, we kind of went with it both ways. Let them get it back to the huddle if we could, or the center of the first game, both centers were spotting it before they even went back to the huddle. And both ways, I think it worked real well.
I agree.
I think it worked even better the second day than the first day because we were, more aligned with it and communicated better to the kids.
Yeah, I agree.
Did anybody else try that not touching footballs?
Is everybody handling the ball? Everybody else?
We went without touching the ball, and it was fine, with a few exceptions of kids tossing the ball at officials who weren't, necessarily expecting the ball. It was fine. And the further we get along, the easier it'll be, I think.
Yeah, that's just a reaction from from last year, prior years. They just used to tossing the ball to the official. So, not surprising. It takes them as much getting used to it as it takes us.
I thought the players reacted just fine. I mean, personally, I don't. I mean, we didn't come close to an issue with timing. So, there wasn't a potential delay of game, nothing that caused any problem. It just was, I don't think it benefited us to not touch the footballs, and would be a benefit if we did. How about the sideline thing? I had a guy call me this afternoon trying to get clarification. They were reading between the lines of what he was telling me, it sounded like they were creating a problem that wasn't there, in my opinion. Coaches were down to the 10-yard line with players. You know, they were telling them on one sideline that they needed to get back to the 25. On the other sideline, and maybe they weren't as diligent. So it just, you know, created a problem. Do we even know for sure if coaches can coach down to the 10-yard line? I know that email that Jack and I were talking about earlier from, it was either Nate or Brent, said it was okay for coaches to go down to the 10. The question was, can they go down there and coach?
I think it would be very difficult to let them go down to the 10 and not let them coach. That'd be very difficult to enforce. You know, some of the coaches went down. We were letting them, obviously, and some stopped at 25. But you know, no one was hassling us, you know, from outside the 25-yard line. So, you know, seemed to go fine.
My question is, if the players are down there anyways, do we care if the coaches, do we even care if the coaches are down there? Provided that they're not, as long as they're not in our way.
Or bitching at us.
Well, okay. I mean, that may be fair, but they can bitch at us when we're standing at the 50. What's the difference if they're bitching at us standing at the 10?
We got to have a place to hide. I don't know, but I'm pretty much, I think that's exactly what that email said. I'm trying to find the damn thing, but I can't seem to find it.
It's in the bulletin that the MHSA just posted, I think September 15th, where it says they can go to the 10, but we can be like, they've got to be like on their complete best behavior. It doesn't say that in exact language, but it's like we can, I think, throw a little bit more liberally there if they're causing a problem from the 10 to the 25.
It sounds right to me.
So it sounded like on this crew, they were handling that differently anyways. I mean, that's tough enough if they have, you know, one crew last Friday handling it different than another crew next Friday, but within the same crew, that's probably not very good. Since we've got 27 of us here, can the 27 of us agree to handle it the same way?
And that's to let them go down to the 10, right?
The bulletin says that you can permit the players and coaches to go to the 10-yard line due to social distancing. There's no language that says they cannot coach from that area. So I think it's something that we should pregame with the coaches during the pregame meeting, that you will permit them to coach from the extended area, so both coaches know going into the game what's going on.
I think we're coming off of what has come out. Down to 10 coaches to 25, otherwise they need to stay within the 25s. Why would we break away from what the state's brought out? Especially when we come to tournaments.
Well, that's
Well,
what we're
the
saying.
state has told us they can go to the 10.
Well, I saw the team can go to the 10, but not the coaches. Coaches were to the 25.
That's definitely in there.
Okay, so on the MHSAA webpage under officials and then sport-specific content, there is a bulletin. Let me just present for a moment, if you would.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Let's actually cancel that. I'm assuming you can see the bulletin here, the MHSA officials bulletin from September 15th, volume 3, bulletin 1.
No.
All right, let's try. Now you should be able to see it.
Yes.
Okay, so this was posted on the 15th. It says here in the area I've highlighted, the sideline team areas and restricted areas may be extended from 10-yard line to 10-yard line. Both players and coaches are now permitted to occupy this area for social distancing purposes. However, because this is being granted to them based on special circumstances, officials will be especially diligent in enforcing conduct and behavior rules in these expanded areas.
There you go.
So that's at MHSAA officials, sport-specific content, and then the officials bulletin, bulletin number 1. And there are a number of different items that they have clarified related to COVID. You know, we talked a little bit in the last meeting about the clarification related to grasping the face covering inside the helmet being a personal foul for grasping the face mask if we deem that it's intentional, or if it's incidental, that would be a 5-yard foul. And similarly, for grasping the face covering when it's outside of the helmet being potentially a horse collar foul if the runner goes to the ground as a result of being grasped by that. That was my 2 cents, Bob.
Clarification, Brian. That was different from what I've seen, and it is more recent.
Shane, do you think, because that was a bulletin that I didn't see either. Maybe we should paraphrase that or send that out in an email. If I missed it, somebody else missed it. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Anything else about any issues with players not wearing masks or coaches not wearing masks, anything like that you've heard about?
Yes, I had a problem. This is Brian Smith. I had not necessarily a problem, but just had to continuously remind the head coach to wear his mask. One coach definitely wore his mask for the entire game, and the other coach only wore his mask when he was on TV after the game being interviewed. But during the game, he would have a complaint, or he would be coaching his team and would not be wearing his mask. And occasionally, there was one time where I did ask him, to make sure that he put his mask on before communicating with us, and he did, and that was fine. But in speaking with, and I don't want to call anybody out, but in speaking with the supervisor of that league, the supervisor indicated that that's a situation that we don't want to pick at after the game is over, meaning we don't want to go to the MHSAA with that as a problem, but you should go to the supervisor of the league, the official supervisor, and say, this is what we experienced. It's good information for the supervisor, but it's not necessarily appropriate to go to either the athletic director or the MHSAA with that information that the coach was not wearing their face mask appropriately, because that only leads to, more scrutiny and more focus on something that's not, that we've been very clearly told is not part of enforcement of the rules of the game. It's definitely part of being able to play football this year, but it's not part of the football playing rules. So we certainly should tell the supervisor, but not necessarily the MHSAA or the athletic director, because they have enough other things to deal with, and this really just brings undue scrutiny on the crew. That was the advice that I got, and I just wanted to share that with everyone in case they have a coach or a player who's not wearing their face covering properly throughout.
Why wouldn't they want us to? Why wouldn't they want us to at least communicate the fact that the coach isn't wearing, some of the players weren't wearing masks, at least to the athletic director, if we aren't getting anywhere with the coach about the players? I don't understand. I understand not going to the MHSAA, but why wouldn't we go to the AD? He's the one that's going to end up with the mess on his hand when they have some kind of outbreak over there. And stop.
It's a political issue, Jack, and it's a political issue. I mean,
What's
it's
a political issue? What's a political issue?
The mask and how it's worn and who reports it and when, and who's in charge of enforcing it, and that's why. And
Well,
so,
we're not enforcing it. We're not enforcing it as part of the rules of the game. We're just telling the AD, hey, you know, your coach needs to wear a mask. He didn't. Maybe you can take care of it before next week's game.
I wouldn't go as far as to say that the coach needs to wear a mask, but I might say he's not wearing one. Right?
Well,
like,
he does.
You know,
According to all the rules and the law, he does need to wear a mask.
Well, that's fine, but according to executive orders, we're supposed to wear a mask. But the MHSAA said we didn't have to. So,
well, the executive order doesn't say anything about officials. It says athletes. It actually is silent as to officials.
Okay.
But the coaches mainly have to wear the mask. And if some coach is in my ear without a mask, I'm sure as hell going to do something about it.
I would start by
out here without giving us any combat pay, you know, for taking a risk. And I'm not going to put up with any bullshit coach not wearing a mask. I mean, I'm going to say something during the game. I'm not going to call penalties because we can't do that. But I'm sure going to tell the ED about it.
That's fine. I would also, Jim, just tell him. Just say, I'd be more comfortable if you wore your mask. And I think there's probably a great chance most coaches probably would at that point.
And that's exactly right. And we didn't have any issue with that. I think all our coaches were masked and well-behaved in 2 games. And although we did have one team where nobody wore a mask, none of the players. And we had, and I think the people on the other sideline, our official on the other sideline, had to listen to the opponent, complain about the whole game. But we don't have any ability to, do anything about it during the game. So,
So I would say this, and this was what happened in our game when we asked the coach to put his mask on to communicate with us. He did. When he was maintaining social distance from everyone, he did not wear his mask and he was yelling to his players, and we did not address him at that point. But only when we needed to address him for other things did we remind him to put on his mask. And that's as far as it went, and the coach complied with our request. So really, if they're doing what we're asking them to do, there really isn't an issue. But just keep that in mind, that the supervisor of the league that you're working in should be made aware if you are concerned about a particular coach. Because then from a preventive perspective, we can do some preventive officiating, but not necessarily go to the nth degree where we're telling the athletic director, we're telling, all the administrators, et cetera, that this person won't wear their mask appropriately. Because again, and it's been pointed out in the chat that we don't necessarily have a a mandate to enforce mask policy. We're certainly going to do something about it when they're speaking to us, but otherwise that's outside of our realm, so to speak.
That's good.
Bob, did you want to get to some?
Sorry to interrupt. This is Tim Baton. So what happens when the coach coughs and we walk through it?
Go get tested.
No, I'm serious, guys. I mean, it's a bigger deal than obviously if he's yelling at us in our ear with no mask, that's a problem. But you guys have all read the stuff that says that this hangs in the air for a while. Obviously, depending on the wind, but I mean, this is quite frankly, gentlemen, why I opted out for this year. I just can't take a chance to bring it home to my dad. So, but still, that's something everybody should be thinking about. That's a real issue.
They should be thankful that we're out there this year and do everything they can to keep us safe.
Agreed.
Tim brings up a fair point. At the same time, many of us are not wearing masks on the field. We're not required to, but if as an individual you're concerned about a coach coughing and you walking through his cough mist, wear a mask. And certainly you have the ability to ask the coach as a human being to put his mask on. His is required, ours isn't. But it doesn't have to be contentious.
No.
It can just be a simple conversation. And then when we don't have, like Brian said very clearly, we don't have any real recourse other than to mention it to either the athletic director or supervisor. But during the game itself, if you're really worried about it, either do like Tim did and opt out of the season or wear your own mask. It's really about the only thing you can control. Anything else?
Enough mask discussion.
Did we want to get to some plays?
I have some. Are you ready?
Maybe somebody else has some first, Bob. Maybe that something happened in their game.
Okay.
Anybody? Everything went smooth, no problems. You got check Scoopy play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's going to be the best play of the year.
We had a player without underwear, if that's worth anything.
What's that?
We had a player without underwear that became the conversation of all the linemen on the interior. It was pretty entertaining.
I am dying to know how you knew that.
It's a butt crack.
Yeah. At some point, the underwear is going to be exposed, and that rear end was likely without.
He was wearing it as a mask.
Wrong play.
Hey, this is Wally Rose. I just want to say thank you for having the most awkward meeting I've ever attended so far.
Where'd you
Stick
play?
around and you'll get better.
Don't tell me I put that last.
What?
Oh, maybe that was it. No. Where did Bob's play go? I had it here. Ah, shoot. All right. Well, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
You could enlarge it. You enlarge it?
Larger?
Yeah, can you enlarge it a little?
Yeah, I can do that. And I put it in the playlist and everything. This is such a good play. Oh, wrong game. Good Lord.
That helps.
Now we're getting somewhere.
What is his check scheme?
I did have it there. Okay. So if you hadn't heard, this is a play where time expires in the fourth quarter. Fordson's losing, so they're trying to score, and you can. Is this going as smooth for you as it is for me? Because I can see this very clearly.
Yeah, I guess.
Go ahead. Just run the play, Bob.
All right. So the forward pass is deflected and caught by an offensive lineman. That's legal. Now he throws a backwards pass that's thrown forward again, and we have a flag for a second forward pass by the head linesman. Great job to stay with it, and that player is tackled by a face mask.
And time expires, right?
And time expires during the down. We actually have a couple of flags for the face mask. Well, one flag for the face mask, and the second forward pass, which I just in this area of a play to recognize that we have that forward pass, recognize the face mask, and then to know what to do about it. So when we have offsetting penalties, we're going to replay the down for an untimed down. I mean, that was first game of the year to be able to get that right. Not only is it the first game of the year, but it's the first game of the year after expecting to not have football. And I know, myself, I turned my football brain off a couple of weeks ago and had to restart it, and that wasn't easy. I've got a play in here where I messed up the penalty enforcement, and that's all because of turning off my football brain. Good job to Bob and his crew for getting this one right. So next play, I'm trying to remember what this one was now.
Everybody mute.
Oh. Let me try to fix that. No, it's not Jack. So somebody's got TV on in the background. Can you mute that?
Went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison with Badgers, and I'm a huge Packers fan, but not as big as my 10-year-old daughter.
Somebody? All right. Yeah. There we go. All right, back to the play. So this is a third down play. Again, this is a really good job here. Got an incomplete pass. Play's over, and this player is going to stand over him, and he's got something a little extra to say. He's going to earn himself a taunting flag right there. To not just to be able to stay with these players as they're still together and recognize that is exactly what we're looking for out of dead ball officiating. It's a really, really good job right there. In that particular game, I'm surprised there weren't more with those two teams. In general, they appeared to be pretty well behaved, but they were sharp enough to be able to catch that one in that instance. Good job. What do we have here? Oh. Now this kid's clearly throwing that ball away, but we have a receiver in the area right here. You see my cursor, right?
Yes.
Thank you. In a lot of cases, the referee's not going to recognize whether there's a receiver in the area or not. Going to need that information from either the line of scrimmage or even the deep guy. But that was a good job not to have a flag. Similar situation here. That was just a secondary question. Might be a little hold there. But the quarterback dumps the ball more or less at that tackle's feet. Notice the referee's in survival mode here. He's definitely not going to recognize whether there's a receiver in the area. The question is, number 5 here. Are we gonna say that that's close enough in general? Anybody have opinion there?
How far from the ball?
Make it full.
Let's see. Number 5 is standing at the plus 49, and the ball is going to land at the minus 46.
Within 5 yards. That's close enough.
Yeah, within 5 yards.
Hey, Bob, can you hear me?
Sure.
I was the guy that was in survival mode. So what I generally do is if I think there's might going to be a potential grounding, because I'm watching the quarterback as if for a late hit, I usually throw my beanbag. And then what we did when this play was over, and obviously the other team was belly aching for intentional grounding, Dante and I caucused, and I said, Dante, I was too busy watching the quarterback, I don't know. So we talked about it, and then he said, well, I think the guy was within enough yards to pick up the flag, so we picked the flag up. So that's what we kind of agreed on. We talked about it. I hope we got it right.
You know, coincidentally, Bob, they actually got that conversation on video. It looks pretty good. But I didn't bother putting it in the playlist here.
Okay.
But that was my question. I think this is, personally, I thought this was a good call. I was curious what the rest of us were going to think about it.
Looked like the right call.
I think we have one more intentional grounding, and then we've got a couple of ineligible receiver downfield plays. Are you reading that? Pretty sure we have no receiver in this area, huh?
That was my game. There was definitely no receiver in the area. My linesman said that the quarterback was under such duress and he said that somebody was close enough, and I took his word for it.
Okay, I mean that's fair. If there's crew communication, that's what we're looking for. There is contact, but I think that contact happens to come after this pass.
I agree, because I was watching him because he said he got hit as he threw it, and I said, nah. I mean, it might have affected his ability to throw it as far as he wanted to, but he didn't get hit as he threw.
Now we're going to take
they were 95 yards from trying to win the game with 30 seconds left.
Oh yeah, I see play 147. You got a point there.
Yeah.
And it's incomplete anyways. That's pretty reasonable to pass on. But in general, then, you know, if this is play number 4 of the game or something like that, I think we might agree that this could be intentional grounding. Reasonable there to maybe pass on it and just move on, and 1 or 2 more plays and we're out of there.
Hey, Bob, could you make this full screen by chance?
Oh, yes. So we've got a few ineligible player downfield plays here. In this case, we've got a covered tight end. We have 3 in the backfield. This slot is on. The widest receiver is off. The 2 in the backfield are off, but he's on, and this receiver is on. You can see that the line judges got his hand forward, which a little bit of an old school mechanic, but fair enough. It's not a foul yet, at least until the pass is thrown that crosses the expanded neutral zone. We have that, and line judge recognizes that we have a flag for an ineligible downfield player. Clearly beyond the expanded neutral zone in this case. Good job. Now this is from our game. We have a covered receiver here that I just don't see. This is a slot, and the widest guy is also, this guy's clearly off. This slot, there's a bunch formation here. You don't see the third receiver until they start running their route. Just going to go forward slowly. But there they go. From this angle, the third man in looks pretty clearly back at least a little bit from the guy who's on the line of scrimmage. As line of scrimmage officials, if we've got some separation between backs and receivers who are on the line, we want to let that go. Now here's where we came up with the mistake, and this was all on me that I'm going to blame my crew for.
Good job.
Because they trust me when I tell them that this is a 10-yard penalty, and it's not. And we enforced a 10-yard penalty. And
It's the crew's job, Bob. It's all of our faults, not just yours.
That's okay. I appreciate the fact that they trust me, but I got at least one saying, I think it's 5 yards. And I was sure that it was 10. Now, if I had gotten, I'm sure you're wrong, Bob, it's really 5 and you're wrong in this case, I might have been able to get talked out of it, but I wouldn't get talked out with, I think. So the lesson for the rest of you with your crews is if you have that one guy that you trust and you're sure he's wrong, go ahead and tell him. But don't tell him that you think he's wrong. You have to be positive. And then with your receivers, if one is a little bit back, go ahead and make him legal in your mind so that we don't have a flag. Oops, that's the play that we already saw. Different play, or note regarding a different play, you'll ignore that. So here the offense, the widest receiver screws up here, and he puts himself back, and then he decides, whoops, I need to be on the line of scrimmage. He does that, and he covers the tight end. Now, you can see that the line of scrimmage is the 37-yard line.
Yeah.
Ball is being thrown right now. And that covered tight end is at the 35. And now, but he's not beyond. This is legal. This should not be a foul for ineligible downfield player. We want that guy to be 3 yards. They're allowed to go 2 yards. For that to be a foul, we need them to be at 3 yards. And the best way to notice this is when you see that receiver at that or beyond the expanded neutral zone, and you can look back in the backfield and see the ball is still in the quarterback's hands, then you'll have a foul. If you do it the other way around, if you see the pass leaving the quarterback's hands and then you find your guy who's beyond the expanded neutral zone, odds are he will have been legal when the pass was thrown. Look for it in reverse. Look for the ineligible downfield player first and then the quarterback throwing the ball. If the ball is out of his hands, you were good. If the ball is in his hands, you're going to have a foul. So that play wasn't flagged. I was just making a point that's exactly a player who was right on the line. Here's another one, snapping from the 41. They're trying to run a screen, and the ball is out of the quarterback's hands right now. 43-yard line is going to be the expanded neutral zone. Pass is actually caught right at the line of scrimmage. So we want to have now the linemen are beyond the expanded neutral zone when the pass is caught, but that's not when the foul either occurs or doesn't occur. The foul occurs or doesn't occur when the ball is thrown on a pass that crosses the expanded neutral zone. In this case, pass doesn't even cross the expanded neutral zone. I think that's too technical. This angle, without drawing the lines, oops, let me slow it down. Without drawing these lines on the field, maybe his feet are a little bit beyond the line of scrimmage. It's tough to lay out exactly on the sideline, completely parallel to this play. Maybe the ball does cross the zone, but at the time the pass is thrown, this lead lineman, it was legal. Let that one go. This play we already had. I think this is my last one. Oh, no, we already got that one.
That was from earlier.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, do you have that one where there was a do-si-do with the quarterback and the defensive end?
Play that we already looked at?
No, we haven't looked at it yet, but you put it in the notes of my game. You said this is a strange play.
Yeah. You don't happen to remember the number, do you?
No, sorry. Don't worry about it.
Earlier in the game, those are all the plays that I have. There was actually one. I actually watched 4 games over the weekend. In each of the 4 games, there was a play where I thought that we had a flag for ineligible downfield player, and the player was not beyond the expanded neutral zone. So I thought it was worth pointing out tonight. Tony, I can't remember what game he had. I don't know why my brain is just going.
Kettering,
right now.
South Lyon.
Okay. And probably this one. Nope.
It was the other, it was that list that you put the notations on.
Remember whether it was an early play or a late play?
I want to say it was in the third quarter.
Probably over.
Probably 80-something, 70-something. Yeah, I know that Green was going left to right. But Green had the ball.
Now we got Green with the ball here. Yep.
Yep, this is it. So who would kill it and who wouldn't? Yeah.
Good question. Just let it play. The defender kind of spins that quarterback around a few times, and then he makes a good play after the second spin, reaches up and punches the ball out right there.
Right, and his offensive lineman was on the guy with him.
Does anybody kill that before the fumble? My opinion is that quarterback had a chance to get away the whole time.
That's what I.
And progress was never stopped. His feet are moving and everything. Anybody see it differently? No?
No, that's the way it looks.
All right. Those are the only plays that I have. If there's anything else.
I don't have a play, Bob, but just mechanically on an intentional grounding, is it always the referee who drops the flag after consultation with either short wings, deep wings, or both, or does anyone else throw the flag? I think there was mentioned that there was like a short wing that threw a flag or something earlier.
Yeah, no, it would always be the referee. If your short wing thinks that you have intentional grounding or no receiver in the area, bring that information to the referee. Or just go to the referee and tell him to drop his flag, and you'll tell him why later. But that's always going to be the referee's call, 100%.
Thanks.
Oh, wait, let's see. Second play of South Lyon East against Wall Lake Central. I don't think we got that game.
It's right under the game you were just looking at.
It was on a Thursday.
Oh, okay. Whoops. All right. That's another one of those that I didn't see in the Oop, now I know why you had a question.
Did his arms come out?
Well, we're talking about the block at the 35 right here, this block.
Yeah, but I mean, were the arms extending?
Nah.
Flag.
Yeah, he was. I agree.
That's shoulder to shoulder. That's a flag. Coach looks like he's kind of close to the field here too. This block over here to the left at the 40, that's legal. He got his hands extended. At the 35, the line judge might see that block, but line judges sometimes get caught up on whether that runner is getting close to the sideline. You deep guys, back judges, side judge, field judge, heck, man, I don't know if I'd throw that from across as a side judge, but field judge, back judge certainly need to see that one. And if you're the side judge, right now you're too close to the play.
Especially if you see an offensive player running back towards the line of scrimmage.
That's a great point. That's exactly the guy who's swimming upfield. Some other terminology that gets used is out of phase.
The prick with the brick.
Yep. The guy's going the wrong man. Looks like he even took his helmet off almost. Holy cow. Yeah, that's a big hit.
Is that a DQ?
I don't think that's enough for disqualification. Anybody else disagree?
No.
No, but I have one. Remember when we talked about earlier today, Bob? It's Jack.
Yep.
From your list of plays that was sent out last week, the unusual plays.
Yeah.
Play 59. There was a awesome targeting call that I don't think got called, and I think this one was one we really needed to think about throwing a guy out, in my opinion.
Now, this is a play from last year that Jack's referring to. It's not this play 59.
Oh, it's later than this one, I think.
This one.
Yeah. Watch number 13 in the center of your screen. Watch this.
I'll give it to you slow.
Boom! Right up in his face. Launched.
Oh, that's a total launch.
Wow.
That was something.
Was roughing the passer called?
I don't know. I don't remember actually. I put together these playlists over the winter since the golf courses were closed, and I don't remember the preceding play or what happened after that one. Just kind of and actually all of you should have access to that play. There's a playlist that playlist was shared with everybody probably 10 days ago or so. So you can go back and review that on your own time if you want to, but that one's in there also. Please make it bigger. Good. No flag. Wait, no flag. Oh, no flag on the. So James, you didn't have a flag for the blindside block. That happens. That's a good one to learn from, though. Good point. That Walled Lake Central will make a blindside block training tape at the end of the year for sure. So the chat box works good. Anybody else have anything else, or are we done?
I'm good.
To watch the Raiders. Do this again next week. I won't plan the following week, but I mean, I don't mind sitting around talking football for an hour on a Monday night. So next week we'll see how many show up and see what we have to chat about then. If you all want to get together, you can. I wouldn't be available the following Monday, the 5th, I think it is. But certainly somebody can put something together if you feel like. But the 28th, definitely I'll get another link out by the weekend. We see what fun we can have next Monday.
Thank you, Bob.
Good luck this week.
Thanks,
Thank
Bob.
you, Bob.
Have a great game this week.
You too.